Oh gosh, probably six.
Yeah, that's
That memory, yeah. But then on my dad's side, William and Mary Breeding, they had a botanical garden in front of their house. Like I remember digging some of those garden beds. I even remember in elementary school we would take field trips to my grandmother's house in Greensboro, Georgia, because it looked like the classic southern garden with the magnolias and the hydrangeas and the lantana. She was a big advocate of nature and gardening. So that led me to go into landscape architecture. I got my master's in landscape architecture in the University of Tennessee, and then I would go ahead and get another master's in land and property development from Texas A&M. So that's how I ended up here in Texas. Love Texas. It reminds me of Georgia culture. Georgia, the Southeast has that kind of free spirited, get it out the mud type of mentality. Worked in the construction industry, land development industry, and the landscape architecture industry here for about, well, and all together for about 15 years before I started my own company. So I currently own Jackson Breeding Consulting Group.
nice. So
Here.
before we go back to jewelry,
Okay.
I want to I call them hot spots.
Mhm.
We have these moments in life, we all know about them, where something, it doesn't have to be like really logical, and typically sometimes they're not. They're more ethereal and emotional, but it's a spot of something that influenced you. It's like that moment. And I was picking up about 6 years old, so I'm not surprised you got the sex there. So can we dig into that a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, tell me, like, what were you feeling? What do you remember about that moment?
It was, but I come from both sides of the family where hard work is really important. Like you have to, you reap what you sow. If you put in a lot to that sowing, the harvest will be plentiful. So I just remember my grandmother one day being like, "Hey, you need to know where everything comes from, your food, your clothes, because there are people that work hard to create that, and that way you'll appreciate it." So I remember specifically planting those collard greens that I ate.
And you remember
Yeah,
specifically
I remember
those collard
specifically.
greens and consuming them.
Exactly. Oh, they were so good.
Nice.
We're country, so we would. She made the collard greens, then the cornbread, and she taught me how to mash it together with my hands. And you can't have it without Texas Pete hot sauce on top of it. So that came next. But no, just realizing like, hey, this came out of the ground because of my hands, and now I'm consuming it for nutrition to make me stronger, to make me a better human being, and the love that my grandmother put into that, it just all made sense. Like, oh wow, this is a really unique system here that we have.
That's
So,
beautiful. Yeah,
yeah.
and in today's world, we're moving so quickly with disconnection, which is our core. Some of the ancient wisdom, the seers talked about it being our true sin. In the words of sin, is our disconnection from Earth and from each other. And what a profound, beautiful lesson your grandmother gave you. Right? What's her name? What's her name?
Ginger Jackson.
Nice.
And then I gotta give honor to Mary Breeding too, because she was the one that I would go to nature centers with her. We would pick out plants and I would plant them, and then to see that grow into something so beautiful, it just really taught me that hard work pays off, and that we have to care for the land that we have.
Yeah, and so my message to people watching this, I'm a master sometimes with stating the obvious, but get your kids away from the phones for once in a while.
Yes.
Get them out in the dirt.
Yes.
Get them to plant something, and then get them to cook something. Help them
Yeah.
cook. But that is such a perfect, beautiful lesson. So simple wisdom can sometimes be the greatest teachers.
Correct.
Awesome. Let's come back to you, ma'am.
Okay.
Tell me now, with all of your inspiration, what is it that you're doing in the world? What have you created? Help our listeners understand what you're up to.
Yeah, so it wasn't until about 2 years later after we moved in that I became a master naturalist and master gardener in 2019.
And for the listeners, what does that mean?
That means you learn how to garden really well, and you learn to understand and appreciate the geology in which expresses what wildlife can live above that geology. So, for example, in the state of Texas, there's 11 different ecoregions, which then define what can be living above ground. And that then influences the wildlife and the land and what it provides.